Hi, and welcome to this interview from thebookdesigner.com. I'm Joel Friedlander, and I'm here today with Steven Spatz. You might not know Steven, but he began writing at the age of 13. He had a career in journalism before moving into direct sales, and he's also done direct marketing for Fortune 500 companies like Mattel and Hasbro. Now, Steven previously served as the Chief Marketing Officer for BookBaby, one of our favorite ebook distributors, and then became president late last year. Now, Steven, and I know you'll be interested to know this, but he's also an author. He published his first book last September, specifically to help indie authors get their manuscripts into the marketplace. So welcome, Steven, and thanks for taking the time out to do this interview.
Thank you very much. Glad to do it.
Yeah, so I want to say, first off, congratulations. It's a big position for indie publishers. Everybody in the indie publishing world knows BookBaby, and thousands of authors have published ebooks there, distributed. I've been a big fan of BookBaby since you launched, because I just thought you had a really cool model that really worked well for authors. And now there's been a lot of changes at BookBaby, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to sit down and talk to you directly so people could find out what's going on. Now, the biggest change, I think, is your move into print on demand. But I'm going to put that aside for a moment because I really wanted to get right from you directly about the big change you made a couple of months ago. I don't remember the date exactly, when you changed your whole pricing model, completely overhauled it to create a whole different model for authors who want to publish with BookBaby. Whereas before there was kind of there was a way to get into the system for free and to get those 100% royalties. And man, I could sell that all day, every day, Steve. It's just, you couldn't make it any better. As a matter of fact, my very first interview with BookBaby, with your predecessor, was specifically to ask him, how the heck do you make that work? So tell me what was behind the move to the new model, which I believe is a $299 entry fee, as I recall.
It is. So, I think BookBaby does a lot of things very well. One of the things we do extremely well, I think, is we listen to our customers, and we're very close. We really monitor what they're saying. We listen very closely. And one of the things they told us is they need simplicity. When we had a multiple layer of offers ranging from $0 up front but a 15% commission, or they could pay out an upfront fee and have 0% commission, they got confused. This was a situation where we had people coming in at one offer, they look at it, they call our customer service people, and they decide, no, really, that's not for me. So it became quite evident early in our experiment, and that's really what it was, our experiment in this multi-tiered model, that this was one occasion where choice was not necessarily the best thing for our authors. We polled them, we surveyed them quite intensely, and we just saw their needs. There needs to be quite similar. They needed customer service help. They love the 0% or 100%, however you want to say it, 100% net back to the authors. And the people who really needed the BookBaby services didn't mind paying the upfront fee. I mean, we tell people all day long, the BookBaby is not for everyone. And luckily, self-publishing is such a huge marketplace, such a huge table, if you will, that there are opportunities for authors to get their books published however they want to. And we think we work very well with those folks who really need some hand-holding. They need to learn about the industry. And so we devote resources and people in our Philadelphia and our Portland call centers to answer questions and be available to answer emails and things like that. So it was really a 1-2 punch, if you will, for simplicity, because the other half of the number 2 punch, we'll talk about the print on demand. Because the other thing we heard about from our customers is they want everything. They want to have ebooks. They want to have some printed books to take to book signings, and they also want a print on demand solution. So as part of gearing ourselves up for that big move, that big change to add print on demand, we thought, let's simplify our offers. Let's make it one offer, so there really, there really doesn't have to be that analysis paralysis that had been happening beforehand.
Yeah, well, I can really appreciate that, Stephen, and I think you're dead right about that, because a good deal of my work here is answering people's questions and trying to deal with the strategies. And I frequently tell people, I started self-publishing in the 1980s, and we didn't have the internet or social media, but it was a lot simpler. The only question you really had to answer was, do you want hardcovers or paperbacks? And that's the only decision you really had to make.
Yeah.
And now, although we've got fantastic tools and distribution channels, and you can do so many different things, the problem is the extra choices make it really, really confusing for people about what to do. So I'm really glad you said that, and I think that's going to answer some of the questions I have also about the print-on-demand, because it does look like you're targeting a very specific segment of this large market. And how has the change in the pricing structure worked out for you?
Well, we did have a few comments at first, of course, people who were missed the free opportunity. I will say that it really didn't have the effect that I think some of our marketers and some of our executives were hoping for, to really widen the funnel. As I say, there's so many different ways to get your book self-published now, and BookBaby is one answer, and there are many other great opportunities and avenues for people to go. We found ourselves really seeing some rather unsavory titles, if you will, coming through. We saw a large number of foreign publishers who were trying to infringe on public domain items. So we really had a lot of back-end type of maintenance and working with our retail stores who were taking this new influx of a lot more material, but wasn't quite the same profile as the usual BookBaby. So it really was quite an easy decision for us to make, to kind of narrow back down to what we do well, which is we compensate our customer service people in our call centers, and we can, given the fact that we do accept the upfront fees, we can pay them, and we can have people available to call toll free from both in Philadelphia and in Portland.
Okay, great. Well, that's really interesting. I really appreciate that, and I think that some of those same topics are behind the whole move to print on demand. Now, this is a big move. I mean, BookBaby came into the market strictly, as an offshoot of CD Baby, where you were handling digital music, and then you started handling digital books. Well, that kind of makes sense, I mean, you could distribute one file. Hey, why can't you distribute another file? Because that's all that's going on there.
That's right.
You got different partners, in some cases, downstream, but otherwise it's pretty much the same business. A lot of independent actors and you as the central distributor. Now, moving into print-on-demand is kind of a different horse. It's just a totally different business, and print books themselves really are quite different from ebooks in many ways, particularly in terms of production and distribution. So you're saying that you were responding to the needs of your authors, like they wanted to get everything in one place to simplify their lives. So is that really what's behind the move into print-on-demand?
I wrote a blog post about this a few weeks ago as we were introducing this program, and this program has been about a year and a half in the making. As I said earlier, we do listen to our authors, but I was listening also to our customer service people when they were having conversations all day long, and we would talk to them on the phone about their ebooks and talk about getting some books printed and things like that. And then we'd say, "So tell me about your print-on-demand program." And we'd say, "Well, we don't have one yet." Click. A lot of conversations ended right there because authors wanted it. So we've spent a lot of time putting together a unique program. We didn't want to just be a Me Too type of product in the marketplace. We also wanted to, as you pointed out, we wanted to cater to a very specific type of author who needed our type of services. Again, we're very upfront by saying BookBaby is not for everyone. And the ones that we do work with, we have great loyal customers, but there are great options obviously all throughout the self-publishing world. We wanted to do a program that fits the needs of our type of authors very carefully, simple, wide exposure, and really kind of easy ordering, one-stop shopping, if you will, for our authors.
Yeah, very interesting. And well, I kind of got that by the way the offer was put together, and I've been through your site pretty extensively. I've gone through the estimating program, which is beautifully done, by the way. I only know one other major print-on-demand vendor where you can do ebook and print book distribution at the same point, and that's Ingram Spark, a fairly new service from Ingram. And one of the things I was curious about was your in your advertising, you say you have the largest book distribution network in the world. So, in my head, I said, oh, so they're distributing with Ingram and they've added a few other people. So that would give you the biggest book distribution. Am I right, or am I just, shooting blanks here?
No, you are right. And this is really secret sauce. And part of the reason it took 18 months to really 24 months to put this together, because we have put together a network of booksellers, of distributors, of catalogs. So, yes, we are in the Ingram network. We're also in all of the retailer network, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Powell's, four or five other major ones, which right now, at the end of the long day, are not coming to mind immediately. But we sort of put it in saying, look, we want to make it so that our authors, if they're selling books anywhere on the world, we want to make it possible for our authors to have potential to have those books. It's distributor networks, different books. We don't. This is the one where we have to be a little coy because we have some non-disclosure agreements and things like that up there. But we do talk about the brand names distributed quite open. Powell's, all really all the major booksellers out there, and a ton of small niche ones as well, which you can find on our website. And we're adding more all the time. So we really wanted to go out there with the mandate of, if we're going to offer print on demand, we need to have a program that is strong and compete in the marketplace. One of the ways we think we can compete best is just massive digital distribution, because that is in our DNA coming from the music side.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So you're using Ingram's distribution system, but you're not using their production system.
That's correct. That is correct. The other aspect of our program that we are very much about is, what we hear from our customers would be the uneven quality of print-on-demand products. And although I think there have been improvements in this way, and who knows, perhaps our presence in the market will actually spark some additional improvements, which will be good for everyone. But it was important to us that book number 51 looks exactly the same as book number 501 and 1501. And there's really only way to do that. And the way to do that is to control it through a single source, a single printer, and a single location, and which we have done. And we've reserved the space in this printer, who is our partner. And so every single book that we print, either for our customers who buy them in bulk or who are done through our print-on-demand program, come from the exact same location worldwide, is exactly equal throughout the entire process.
So that would really appeal to people who are interested in quality. Now, I know, as a matter of fact, because I've been printing with Ingram for many years, that they print all their books. They don't have two sets of presses. They're either doing digital printing or they're doing offset printing, which they don't actually do. They job it out, which is fine. It's a great service they offer their customers. So, I mean, there are certain problems with digital printing, and some of those account for some of the quality concerns that people have always had about print-on-demand books. I mean, the fact of the matter is, and I'm not going to get into semantics, but, their print-on-demand books are just digitally printed. They're xerographic. I mean, that's the whole point of the process.
Yes.
And I noticed that in some of your material, you were contrasting the print-on-demand book to the, quote, commercially printed book. It kind of confused me because I wasn't sure what you would say. I said, well, is he talking about commercially printed? Does he mean offset? No, I don't think so. So that was a little bit confusing. But, BookBaby always wanted to do a high-quality product, and I really respect that. And I think your entry into the print-on-demand market is really a good thing, because we need more competition and more people who are operating, with a specific idea of the market they're trying to reach. So, that was very interesting to me. I mean, one thing I wanted to really talk to you about also is the whole royalty/discount situation. Yep. Now, Steven, I have to tell you that I've been doing this for about 5 years, and one of the biggest things I do here is trying to teach authors how to become publishers.
Yeah.
And so I understand clearly that there's a big range in the market. There are many people who don't want to learn about book discounting. That's the last thing they want to learn. They don't want to know about it. They start to glaze over and go to sleep when I talk to them about it. And if you tell them, look, you want to be a book publisher, you have to know some math, man, that's the kiss of death right there. So I think it's kind of interesting the way that you kind of conflated the typical royalties and discounts and shoved it all together into one model. But my question to you is, do you think that you're going to have any problems selling your service when authors look at those and say, okay, I'm going to net, let's say, 11%, when over here I can go to your competitor and apparently, because they haven't done all the math, net 40 or 50%? And that is the question that's going to come up. I mean, people have already asked me that question,
Sure.
like, what are they, crazy? I'm not doing that for 12% or whatever it is. So, but, I did the math myself and I realized, some of these figures aren't far off. Like if I do a book myself, I might end up with a net of 18%.
Right.
But that's not generally how it's sold. So what's your thinking about that, or the resistance you might get?
Well, this is when I was talking about a 1-2 punch. There's a third punch coming, and I'll be able to talk to you about that in a few months, which will probably have a little different direction to this conversation. Once again, we agree with you about trying to explain about discounting and about co-ops and about fees and all the different stores and outlets and catalogs that we're in. They all have their own different numbers, and we decided, okay, if we want to maximize exposure and distribution, we need to make sure that that's part of our program. The other thing is simplicity. For us to spend minutes, hours, you know about this, hours on the phone trying to make them understand how all the economics will work out. What we decided to do is this. We printed it on the website, a worst case scenario. When our authors begin getting revenue, they'll be pleasantly surprised. Those numbers are higher. We are a company that believes strongly in under promising and over delivering. So what we did is we took the worst economics, the worst store, and printed those on our website so that when people come to it and when they see their statements here in a few weeks, in a few months, they're going to be pleasantly surprised. And we'll probably, as we get more an idea of the mix of where people are selling, we'll probably bring those numbers back up to reality. But we want people to go in with their eyes open. They're really not going to get rich by doing a print on demand. And a lot of our authors, again, who work with us, that may not be their primary goal. They want exposure. They want the gratification that they published a book. We have a lot of people that we call bucket listers who are, doing that book for that one lifetime achievement. They can cross that one off that they have done. So there are a lot of reasons why people come to BookBaby. And again, our program is very simple. We don't laden it with a lot of details, and we think people will be, who choose our program, and then when they see the actual results, their results will vary, and they'll be better than what we're publishing. But we just don't want to have a situation where people are saying, "Hey, I thought I was supposed to get 21%, and they only got 17." That's not going to help anyone.
Well, it's an interesting way to do distribution in that the author, and I clearly understand who your intended market is, but in this case where the author won't actually know what they're earning on a per sale basis until they get the report. Now, for me, I'm an experienced book publisher. I mean, come on, I owned a publishing company at one time.
Yes.
So, I mean, for me, I sat down when I got ready for this interview and worked out, if I did a book at $12.99, 6x9, 200-page paperback, and I did it at 40% discount, which is pretty typical for the trade, minus my production costs, so that would probably net out about 33%. So I'm probably not in your market.
Probably not.
Because I like math.
Sure.
But anyway, it makes sense to me, the simplification and trying to eliminate the details for that particular market. I mean, I can clearly understand that because a lot of people just don't want to deal with it. So tell me who your ideal client is for BookBaby print on demand.
Well, it's funny. I was just putting together a bio. I'm doing a talk coming up in a few weeks at the Storytellers Expo, and they wanted me to do an introduction of myself, kind of list out my career. And in my checkered past, my career, I've been everything from a sports writer to a pear orchardist to a importer of figurines from China to a direct marketer in the music business, and now the BookBaby president. I fit the absolute typical BookBaby author because we have them from all over the landscape. We have some very numbers oriented people on our staff, and the BookBaby brand has been the most challenging to them, frustrating, agonizing, whatever you want to call it, because our genres are, when we do the demographics, it's flat. It's everybody. I mean, we are represented everywhere. We have the religious books here. We have the erotica over here. I mean, it's people coming from all over the globe. U.S., Australia. We have a lot of Europeans, South American authors. So it's hard. It's hard for us to nail down who the typical BookBaby author is, but we think it's a person who is not a DIY person first and foremost, right? God bless them, there are a zillion DIY, indie authors out there who can convert their files to EPUBs, who can do the distribution deals, who love to dabble in it. That is probably not our client. Although we do have a number of people who say, okay, I'll do Amazon, I'll do Apple, I'll do Barnes & Noble, and you guys can handle the other 57 stores. So we do have those kind of clients. So it's a crazy mix of wonderful authors who find us, who join us, and it's been a fun ride.
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think that I talk to authors all the time, and many of them I think would be very interested in a simplified service. I mean, the way it looks to me is for print on demand, you've got a fairly simplified sale, you've got good customer support, you've got better than average quality books, and you've got a company with worldwide distribution behind you. So, and then you consolidate it all into one dashboard, so you can see your whole distribution at one glance. I think that's a pretty good offer, really. I would still recommend BookBaby. I mean, it just depends on the person. It's like you say, it's not going to be suitable for every single author, and that's good. This market is very large, and there hasn't been enough differentiation in the market, and so I'm very happy to see new players coming in here and making these offers to authors. It's good for authors, actually, to have more choices.
I couldn't agree more. And really, as you've watched BookBaby iterate and grow, having a platform where our print-on-demand programs and our other programs, this is a starting point. You're going to hear more from us in about 6 months, and maybe more from us in another year or so as we branch out to begin to look at, perhaps there are some more prosumer type authors who, like you, they have much more wherewithal in terms of the economics. They understand how the game is played. Perhaps there's a tier of service where we can offer, given our infrastructure, given our distribution, they can take the best of that. Perhaps offer another level of service to those who require and really want that other higher tiered service. Now they'd be paying for it in terms of a back end, but again, those are the authors who can kind of grasp all of the economics. But this is a great baseline for us. It gives us a starting point in the print on demand world, but we're far from over on that program. I can assure you that.
Well, it's really great to hear all this, and especially to hear it directly from you. And you kind of stolen my thunder here, because of course my last question was going to be, what are we going to be seeing in the future from BookBaby? Obviously, you guys are ambitious. You got a great position in the market, and you want to keep expanding that. But it sounds to me like you've already kind of hinted around about this stuff. Is there anything you can tell us today?
Well, again, as we listen to our authors, so what have they asked us there? They've asked us for simplicity. They've asked us for a range of products that they can order easily. The third thing they've asked us is, how do I get discovered? Discoverability, that undiscovered country that we are all seeking to find. And we have some ideas and some thoughts about that. We have experience on the music side of the business in helping our musicians, find that kind of discoverability on that side of it. So we're leveraging some of those assets. So that's certainly an area that is of prime importance to, I would say, of every author. It doesn't matter if you're a bucket lister, or you're a prosumer, or you're a mid-list author that's been kicked out from one of your big 5 publishers. They all want to be discovered and have their books noticed. So that's one of the areas we're focusing a lot of our resources on.
Okay, well, that's very tantalizing, and you're preaching to the choir here. I mean, I'm a discoverability preacher myself, and I know exactly how important it is. I'm an author also. So I think what I'd like to do is book the next interview for 6 months from now, And we'll find out exactly what it is that Steven and the other people over at BookBaby have in mind for us. But unless there's anything else you want to add, Steven, I'm pretty much ready to wrap it up. It's been very informative. And you got any tips for us or tips for my people watching this video?
You know what? The one thing we tell people, why choose BookBaby? Well, it's so we can do the technical heavy lifting and the distribution, and writers can do what they do best, and that is write. So keep on writing. I'm
on board with that. So that's really good advice. And I really appreciate you taking your time. I know it's late in the day, but I'm glad we managed to squeeze this in. I've been talking with Steven Spatz, the president of BookBaby, and I'll have links to all of the things that we mentioned about down below the videos. So, Steven, thanks very much for taking your time today. I really appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. Appreciate it very much.